Hello, middle school. My name is Sean. As some of you might know, I've been going to Montgomery School since the age of 3. I've been here longer than most of the people in this room right now. So I had a lot of time to think about what I could do for my chapel. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of chapels, and most of them gave me some form of an idea of what I could do. I could never decide, though, what I would do for my chapel until this year, actually. I decided that my chapel will be on respect. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sean, respect is a super generic topic. To that I respond, yes, it is an amazingly generic topic. So I put my own personal spin on it. So my chapel will be on respect for video games. This is not going to be a really done chapel. I'm giving video games the positive image it deserves. Now you see, people get turned off from the gaming world because they play one game and they just don't like it. Since video games are legally considered to be a form of art and a form of media similar to books, TV, and movies, people shouldn't hate video games just because they played one bad one. To help get this across more easily, I'll compare playing a video game to watching TV. Let's say I decide to turn on the TV and a show like Dora the Explorer comes on. I will not enjoy this, but if I change the channel, I can watch Doctor Who or The Simpsons. Instead of watching Dora and Boots yell at Swiper, I know that I could be watching the Doctor save the world instead. This is why I find it confusing that people take one video game and can compare it to the entire medium. For example, let's say if somebody plays Sonic 06, which, if you didn't know, is basically one of the worst games ever. Believe me, I've played it. It's really bad. If that's the first game you've ever played, you shouldn't compare it to the entire medium. What a lot of people don't realize is that they can trade in their cruddy Sonic 06 game and get a better game like Xenoblade Chronicles, Super Smash Bros., Team Fortress 2, or Fire Emblem Awakening. Another reason people tend to not play games is they just say that all games are mindless violence. This statement could not be more wrong. For example, one of the greatest and most popular games of all times is Portal 2. And Portal 2 is a puzzle game, and it has almost no violence at all. And the game has sold over 3 million copies. Another example is Tetris. Tetris is a puzzle game where you turn blocks in different directions so a cylinder doesn't blow up. Tetris has sold over 100 million copies and is the best-selling video game of all times and has absolutely no violence at all. There's some games that are mindless violence, but there are some games that aren't. It's like comparing a Michael Bay movie to every single movie ever made. They're not the same. And that's the same for video games. Another thing that is completely false about video games is that people become antisocial because of it. This, once again, makes no sense considering on every single platform of gaming, there is at least one way to communicate with friends all over the world. For example, you've got Xbox Live, Miiverse, PlayStation Network, Nintendo Network, TeamSpeak, and much more. Millions and millions of people use these services each day to communicate with friends everywhere. Plus, take a look at YouTube, one of the largest social media sites on the earth. Hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels are dedicated to video games alone, and the most subscribed channel on YouTube is focused on video games. If that doesn't convince you, let me tell you a story about how video games helped me make a friend. As some of you might know, this is Connor. I met Connor in 2nd grade, and I don't think we'd be friends without Pokemon Diamond and Pearl or Super Smash Bros. Brawl. These games gave us countless hours of conversation. We once talked for an entire hour straight about who was better in Smash Bros., Yoshi or Marth. Heck, before Smash Bros. Wii U came out, we speculated for hours on end about who would be a newcomer and who would be cut from the roster. Video games have helped me create a great friendship with them and proves that video games do not make you antisocial. Another false statement is that video games promote violence. This also, once again, makes no sense, because thanks to video games, there's actually been less crime and less violence. Violence has decreased from 1995 to 2008. It has decreased by 71.9%, and at the same time in the same time span, crime has gone down 49.3%, and during the same time, video game sales had quadrupled. If you argue that violent video games plant seeds in children's minds and make them want to kill everything, then don't let them play those games. There is an ESRB rating system for a reason. People. So many people overlook this, and I don't understand why, considering it's almost the same exact rating system they use for movies. You wouldn't let a 6-year-old see a rated R movie, so don't let them play a rated M game. If that doesn't convince you, I'll tell you a quote by the CEO of Nintendo. Video games do not affect kids. If Pac-Man affected me as a child, then I'd be running around in a darkened room listening to repetitive music and eating magic pills. Now that I've told you why the dumb stereotypes about gaming culture are false, let me tell you about some of the good gaming has done. The gaming community has created several charities, such as Child's Play and Extra Life. The charities involve helping children in hospitals with games and toys, and in some way tying in video games. I'm actually doing Child's Play charity for my Make a Difference project. Games are also being used for teaching. For example, the game Valiant Hearts, The Great War, is all about World War I and the experience as somebody who is drafted against their will. The game is a side-scrolling puzzle game where in order to breach enemy lines, you have to figure out puzzles on how to get through their barriers. And there are little collectibles that tell you little fun facts about the war itself while you're actually in the war. More games like this are being made every day, and they're making history a lot more interesting. Another thing is that video games have some of the best music ever. Some games are famous for their soundtracks, like Mega Man or Sonic Adventure 2. Plus, classic game music is easily recognizable. For example, I'm pretty sure you all know this. Plus, the song Baba Yetsu from Civilizations 4 won a Grammy. I mean, listen to this.
Baba yetu yetu liye mbinguni yetu yetu amina Baba yetu yetu liye jina lako litukuzwe Baba yetu yetu liye mbinguni yetu yetu amina Baba yetu yetu liye jina lako litukuzwe.
Amazing. If you want to know a little bit more about games and game development, I highly recommend you check out the online video series called Extra Credits. The show is run by a game developer and an animator, and is all about game design and the gaming community. Plus, I like their cartoony art style. Finally, I leave you with a statement that I put a lot of thought into. Video games are a lot more than just wasted times. They're an interactive experience. They deliver story in a way movies, books, and television cannot. Video games let you be a part of the story, rather than just being a bystander to it. I can be an Italian plumber in space, or I can be the hero of time, or I can be the wielder of the Monado and take down the evil Mechon, or I can control monsters and fight people who want to use their powers for evil, or I can become a tactician for an army at war, or I can be the person to erase the mutant cats who are forcing me to go through obstacles for their own amusement, whilst at the same time I'm trying to save my friend from being possessed by an evil hat. Or I can be a knight with no ears. I can do this and a whole lot more just because of video games. Now go out and play a game.